Hi, I'm Jay Duchette, the volunteer coordinator at the Canadian Lesbian and Gay Archives for National Volunteering Week 2015. We have with us one of our longer-term volunteers who has done so much here at the Archives, Mario, and we want to have a little discussion today about his experience at the Archives and the importance of it to him. So thank you for joining me today, Mario.
Well, thank you for asking me, Jay.
So how long have you been a volunteer at the CLGA?
I think it was around 1995, 96, when I was approached by another volunteer of ours that's been around for quite a while, Lawrence, and he knew that I was doing computer stuff. And so first of all, I just want to say I'm not an archivist. I really don't have an archival background, but my forte is I've always been into programming, and at the time they said, you, programming, computers, archives, so that's how I got into the archives. And at the time we had a small installation. We only had a few disparate computers that were not networked, and there were different ones because we relied on the kindness of strangers. And so whatever somebody would donate, we sort of used. And that's where I started, so it was way back then. And we've come a long way, I suppose. We do have a real network now. And my forte has always been, my passion has always been data and organization. I've always done database, so I've been able to adapt some of my skills into everyday archival things. So that's what I've been doing.
Great. How has that kind of changed since the 90s? Because certainly technology has changed a lot over that time, and even the process of digitization and a lot of the technologies that we use for the archives have been changing rapidly. So how has your role been changing over that time?
Okay, well, interestingly enough, my role hasn't really changed that much. As you mentioned, technology has changed. The computers have become more reliable, more robust, especially the newer versions of Windows that we're using. The databases that we had in place way back when, which is in Magic, a product that all the volunteers are using to store, retrieve information, is still in place today. So my role has been basically to ensure that the network and the infrastructure for the users has always been up and running. So we right now have a very stable environment that has not changed since 2010, when we got a grant to actually go out and purchase 9 desktop computers, including a server. So I had fun creating the environment so that we are able to access the day-to-day information, as well as then keeping track of the backups, and that happen automatically in case data gets lost or misled. So far my role has been to keep that environment in working order, and I think I've achieved that, because the true sign of a good systems programmer or person is when you don't hear anybody calling you. Every so often some people have, but generally everything has been stable. And that's also a testament to Microsoft, because their products have improved with every new release of the operating system. The version of Windows that we're using now is wonderful. It's great because hardly anything goes wrong, as opposed to the earlier versions, which had to do all kinds of things to keep up with legacy programs. So nowadays, nobody hears of all these crashes and the dreaded blue window of death that we used to get many times over and over. Our environment is so seamless right now that it's a joy to work with.
Unfortunately, I still get it at home, so if I could bring you to my house, that would be nice. What are some major highlights for you with working at the CLGA? I mean, over the past 20 years or so, there's probably been some moments that stand out in your mind and that really speak to you about why you've stayed.
Yes, it's an interesting question as to, some of us have stuck around for so long, yet other volunteers come and go. And sometimes you wonder what keeps some of us here longer than others. And I think deep down is a passion that we have for what we are doing and the wonderful people that you connect with. And sometimes you get that synergy between different people that makes it enjoyable to be in a place such as this, volunteering for a cause. A slogan for the archives is keeping our stories alive. And you don't realize how important that is as you go on in life, and you realize as the years go by where you've come from. And it's only when you start looking at some of the material that we have here and you read at some of the headlines that have taken place years ago where you realize, oh my God, is that the way it used to be? So many things that we take for granted now. It's amazing where we've come from, and it's good to keep this as a legacy for others' generation, for the younger ones to explore and to research, because that's ultimately what we do here. And so I think we are doing a service to our community, to our society, and I think it's a great thing. And aside from that, I enjoy doing the type of work that I do. Is keeping my angle again is on the system side. One of my highlights, I suppose, was that I realized that there was a need. We have disparate databases. Everybody works on different areas. For instance, somebody works on the music section, somebody works on the library section because we have a collection of books, vertical files where we keep track of clippings, etc., etc. The videos. So there are about 15 separate databases. Now, my expertise came into play one time when a few years ago, when I thought there has to be a common place where one can start looking at things rather than having to go through each one of the databases. Because before I created what I call the global catalog, people had to know where to find stuff before they actually look for it. And in doing so, you might miss things because you may fail to look into a particular database. So I recognized that there was a need to have the Google of the archives, if you will. And so I created the mother of all databases that I still keep up to date on a weekly basis. And basically I created some programming and that I am able to capture information from all the various databases on a weekly basis and come up with a change extract that I then use to update the global database, the global catalog. And this has been accepted very warmly at the archives, and it's used, from my understanding, it's used a lot because it provides a one point of entry into all the databases. So you're able to, anybody that's researching on something is able to find where the information lies on any of the other particular, there might be something about a particular person, there might be something in the library database, there might be something in the vertical file database. The global catalog will bring that up, so you don't have to think of looking in various different places. So that to me is my greatest contribution that I still maintain. And other record keeping stuff that I enjoy doing, as long as with a background of database behind it. So I keep track of volunteer hours as well. So that provides us with a number of record keeping at the end of the year so that we know how many volunteers hours we've had, including active volunteers. I have all that information is available at my fingertips, if you will. And I can provide reports as required by the by the executive committee and show them indicators as to what any way, shape, or form I can provide that kind of access.
So is there one specific moment that you can think of, like one specific event or interaction you had with another volunteer or somebody that really to this day stands out in your mind?
Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier, I can't think exactly of a particular moment, but I do like the camaraderie that we have here with some of the volunteers. It's just that we feel as a group that we work together and we help each other. And sometimes when particularly on Mondays where I come in the afternoons, there's always something that I can show other volunteers on how to extract information from the databases. I work particularly with Alan Miller, who has been doing a lot of work with the digitization of our collections and trying to get pictures of t-shirts and buttons. And so I work in very close relations with him to do any changes that are required in some of the databases themselves. But as I mentioned before, the people is what makes the difference, I think. That makes it nice to come here because it provides a welcoming, warm environment where you feel comfortable and you know you're appreciated for the kind of work that you do.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mario. And thank you for your 20 years of service here and hopefully 20 more. Or more, who knows? And also on a personal note, for being extremely welcoming to myself as a new person at the archives. And I think that's really important that we bring more new people in and the fact that we have so many long-term dedicated volunteers such as yourself that do that, I think is really important. So
thank you, Jay. Yes.
So thanks for spending time with me today.
Well, thank you very much, Jay. That was nice of you. And I think it's always good to have new people around because ultimately new volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization, and we do need people to come and join us. And because ultimately the older generation eventually disappears, so it's always good to include new blood into an organization, and that way we can pass on the legacy that the old time volunteers have had. So, and it's always very nice to be here. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.